for the guy who's watching this, your own brain convinced you to watch porn 1,000 times. Your own brain convinced you to put 10,000 hours into video games. Most people don't realize that parts of their brain are actually not even on their own side. So what we need to do is have like a, let's say, a concept, a thinking concept. This is why I like the two characters, Jeffrey and Adonis. Jeffrey is like the bad part of our brain, which has always pushed us to do the degenerate habits that we know is just never served us well. Watching porn, video games, junk food, all of those things. Adonis is like the good part of our brain, which is like the part of our brain that convinces us and pushes us hard to go to the gym and delay gratification and speak to the person, even if we're not feeling so confident, and to sit up straight and have respect for ourselves. Once you actually really realize that you have both of these in your brain, you just need to ask yourself, is this my Jeffrey brain or my Adonis brain? Because you'll be surprised, like, you know, your own brain will push you incessantly to go and watch porn or eat the chocolate. But the moment you take a step back and say, wait, like, is this the good part of my brain? No, of course not. So why would you keep listening to the bad part of your brain? Like I say to the guys who are in my program, and they'll ask me for like YouTube advice, right? So I've got like 2 million subscribers. So they ask me for YouTube advice and I'll tell them something. And then they'll disagree. And I always find that absurd. I'm like, you have like 200 subscribers. Why would you trust your own brain and not mine? In the modern day, people love this cute stuff of like, oh, you know, critical thinking and question everything. That's just fucking stupid as fuck. Don't like question what happens in your own thoughts, fine. But if you've got a mentor who is at the point that you want to be in life, and he tells you, okay, do this to get to where I am faster, don't question it. Blindly trust the fucking advice and see what happens. Because I'll see in my comments of people saying, oh, don't blindly trust Hamza, you know, you should like be your own critical thinker. Fuck you. Imagine 19-year-old me like saying, oh, think for yourself. He was thinking for himself and he was a dickhead. He was literally smoking weed. Like, that's what happens when most guys think for themselves. They smoke weed all the time, they fap all the time, they're like triple texting girls. It's like, that's what happens when a young man thinks for himself. But when you start thinking as if you are Andrew Tate, if you start thinking as if you are Iman Gaji, as if you are me, as if you are Andrew Huberman or whoever else, you start like acting in your assumption of them, and often what you see on social media is the person's highlight anyway. So there's been times when I literally 50 times a day will answer questions in my mind of what would Andrew Tate do, what would Iman do, what would this entrepreneur do, what would Alex Hormozi do, and that's the fastest progress I've ever made in my life. Because why? If like your brain can only keep you at the current level or even worse than you've ever been before. Your own brain can't take you to the next level. If it could, you'd already be there. The only way to get to the next level is by thinking about the guy who's already there. So why would you like live your life whilst allowing your own Jeffrey brain to tell you like this is the plan, let's go eat chocolate right now, when instead, if like there's an athlete you look up to, Conor McGregor, and you ask yourself, what would Conor McGregor do? He wouldn't eat the chocolate, so don't eat the chocolate. It's like give yourself the new paradigm, the new like thinking practice of whoever is your role model right now, who has achieved what you want out of this season of life, you know, the biggest goal you've got, whatever it is, 10K a month, fitness, whatever. Choose one guy and just ask yourself 50 times a day what that role model would do in every situation you get into. What to eat, what time to wake up, what task to do, if you should do this thing or this thing, how you should respond to your family, how you should respond to this text. Just constantly ask yourself that question. And what I would suggest is do that up until you get to a point where you're basically on that person's level, which may take you years, and that thinking practice no longer works. So it's like I've been able to explode my business by thinking about a specific entrepreneur, which took me to a certain level, but then I got to about his level and then I didn't surpass anymore because I was still operating at that level. And so then all I have to do is just think about the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. So my advice that the guys were struggling with thinking, and you know, you've got these negative thoughts and these positive thoughts, is like, why would you even want your own brain to tell you shit? Your own brain can only tell you about where you are right now. It's absurd and it's so egotistical to think that, oh, you should question everything. Fucking question nothing. Choose one role model, copy him fucking ruthlessly till you get to his level, then abandon him and move on to the next one. I've been able to rapidly evolve because I almost have like a blank slate 24/7, and I choose what thinking to allow to like operate my life. To other people from the outside, it probably looks kind of crazy that I changed my beliefs and I act like this, and this was my goal previously. Now I'm doing things like this. But the results speak for themselves. I've become wildly successful in a few years. I've retired everyone that I love. It's like, it's really worked for me. And when I see the internet culture of these little nerds saying like, question everything, I just think like, why the fuck would you ever do that? It's like the results are there for the taking. So just be aware, for the guys who are watching this, that parts of your brain are not serving you. That's programming. That's like bullshit addictions. Listening to your own brain, especially if you're a fucking loser, let's be honest, is not going to get you anywhere, right? If you're already super successful, you're a billionaire, don't listen to me because obviously I'm below you, fine. But if you're like some kid who's had a porn addiction and you've got 10,000 hours on a video game, your brain convinced you to do that. Why would you keep listening to your brain? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. It's like the quote that says, you can't solve problems from the same level of consciousness that created them. Doesn't make any sense.